The following program is presented by Pro Sound and Video.
Today on Broward Teen News, we're at West Broward High School to recap our best moments of this year.
So stay tuned to hear stories spanning across the country, from Seattle, Washington to our hometown Pembroke Pines.
Hello and welcome to Broward Teen News, West Broward High Edition. I'm Michael Rodriguez.
And I'm Talia Kaplan. From Washington to Florida, WBTV has done it all.
I know, I can't wait to see what the future has in store for our program.
Speaking of the future, books have been part of our past and present. But even though technology is taking over, books are not going anywhere.
That's right, Talia. In Seattle, Washington, books sold from Lionheart Books have a lasting impact on their customers. Anthony Amadeo can read us the details.
As a city known for its delicious coffee and atypical music, Seattle also brings a national necessity to the table. For the past several years, Seattle has been the second most literate city in all of the United States. Since the 1960s, Lionheart Books strives to boost this statistic.
A store like this is great because it almost has this magical sort of, oh, look at that, that's so cool. And it's not so much I'm going to find this one thing that I already know about. I think the adventure in finding something that you're interested in is a really important part of it. There is a lot of books in here. We have kids section, we got a big fiction, right here's a history, and a big sci-fi section.
Having a variety of genres allows all walks of life to find a book that they harmonize with. In the early years of life, it's important to lay down the foundation of an irreplaceable life skill.
It's just in me. I don't know where I got it. I love to read. When I was 3, I was reading. I'll read until mom goes, dinner, or get down here. Sometimes I read too much that I get punished. I love to read because I think it just blocks out nature. It just takes me somewhere else. I feel like I'm in a library. I could read all day.
Being able to have access to this vast selection of literature not only allows Michael to find his groove, but others alike as well. With small bookstores like this, Seattle is surely on track to take the #1 spot. For the Student Television Network, this has been Anthony Amadeo.
Having the experience of going to a big competition like STN was life-changing. There were so many other kids who were passionate just like we are, and it was nice to go against the best our country has to offer. But I know there are a couple of things that could be changed. Kayla Baker has more information.
I'm a little tired. Late nights and early mornings, large competitive crowds, people I don't know shoving me. That's the Student Television Network for you, and I wouldn't have it any other way. But I would do a few things differently if I was in charge of STN. Opening ceremonies wouldn't be right after a Crazy 8, and there wouldn't be any boundaries. Crazy 8s are hard work. I have to wake up early, compete all day, all to come back to a room filled with over 3,000 kids. Don't get me wrong. Opening ceremonies are important. They signify the beginning of the best 4 days of the year. But right after a Crazy 8, if only I could enjoy it more. Then I compete, only to be restricted to tight boundaries. They say, go somewhere no one else is going. But is that really feasible when 3,000 kids are in the same area as you? Don't worry. These dilemmas I'm facing can be solved. If I were to be crowned planner of STN, those would only be the 2 issues I would change. Fixing this would be able to embrace the city we're competing in, and maybe get to know our competitors more. Win or lose, tight or not, boundaries are or open areas. STN has allowed me to find my true north. For the Student Television Network, I'm Kayla Baker.
Taking it back to our home state, Bats Against Breast Cancer is an annual event held by the West Broward baseball team that raises money for breast cancer research. While on the surface it might seem like a game of America's pastime, its meaning goes much deeper than that. Tyler Cohen can pitch the story to you.
For the past 7 years, West Broward High School has been home to Bats Against Breast Cancer. Not only is this a thrilling baseball tournament, but more importantly, a community event to help raise funds for breast cancer treatment. Although breast cancer is a national epidemic, keeping the money raised locally gives those who donate money a sense of security and pride when they are able to see exactly where the money is going.
Originally, it was Coach Ambrose's idea that he wanted the boys to give back to the community. He wanted to do it with the event of breast cancer. He felt he was very passionate about it. We came up with the idea of doing a fundraiser, and he originally thought about giving it to breast cancer research. And I came into play with working at the hospital and saying keep the money in the community, so that it's helping people that could live next door to one of the baseball players, or an aunt or uncle that are related to one of the baseball players, instead of putting it nationally, keeping it locally, and it being funded 100%. There's no overhead in the foundation.
There are many ways to fundraise for breast cancer, but baseball allows the players to have a little more purpose to play than normal. The drive to support a patient surpasses any other type of motive that is usually found in more common fundraisers.
Well, this one stands out very different because we have teenage men that are contributing to raising this money. Instead of it being the girls cheerleading or the girls walking or whatever other way that they may raise, we have the young men contributing to an important cause. That unfortunately 1 in 8 women will have this disease, and they will come in contact with someone during their life of having this disease, and now they can learn the face of it and how to participate and give back to their community for such a great cause.
The amount of work that goes into planning doesn't go unnoticed, and seeing the final results makes the event worthwhile. It encourages participants to do it again the following year, and gets others excited to attend and put money towards a great cause.
There's many hours that go into getting this event to be what it is today, and I get to help on the side of it being raised as much as it being used. So when the patients come in to need a lymphedema sleeve after surgery for their arm, or they've had a breast removed and they need a prosthesis, I am also a fitter, so I see it give back to the community on the other end.
The feeling of changing someone's life, only for the better, is irreplaceable. Without Bats Against Breast Cancer, the patients in Broward County may never receive the treatment they need. For WB-TV, I'm Tyler Cohen.
It seems like in our community, the good doesn't stop. Arts for Autism holds dance classes to help raise awareness of autism while giving kids the chance to freely express themselves in a fun and playful environment. Anthony Amadeo can break it down.
Arts for Autism is a nonprofit organization that welcomes kids all across the spectrum to not only enjoy a day of dancing, but also to help with social and cognitive skills. This program uses dancing and singing to ignite an artistic passion within the participants.
So Arts for Autism is a dance program and a music program that uses the music and the movement to help these kids progress in their autism symptoms. So we focus on things like eye contact, social skills, language development, gross motor, fine motor. We work on so many things in a 45-minute session that's fun. So they don't even notice that these moves and the structure of the class is there therapeutically to help them improve in their autism symptoms. So they just come here, they think it's a dance party, they're having a great time, but everything is there for a reason.
Spectrum Dance Therapy comes from Autism Movement Therapy, which combines a structured program of music therapy, social relational therapy, and applied behavioral analysis. This type of therapy is a way for kids to have fun and express themselves, resulting in them becoming more independent.
This for sure has been an opportunity for children to express themselves. I mean, dancing that's what it is, to express yourself through movements. So the fact that they are kept in classrooms where they have to learn and follow certain rules, here is like where they can be free and do whatever. And you see it at first when they come, they're kind of nervous, but then as the music is going and they're dancing, they release something that you've never really seen before. And it just shows that dancing can be your way of expressing yourself and of releasing any stress. Like in that hour, they get to just open up and be free and not have to worry about anything at all.
This program and Spectrum Dance Therapy helps children in the community and provides them with a creative outlet like no other. I'm Anthony Amadeo, reporting.
Staying on the topic of art, the Las Olas Art Festival is the pinnacle of hard work and imagination. Boasting exhibits ranging from paintings to clothing to sculptures, there is really something for everyone. With so much going on in such a small time, one painter captivates visitors in such a way that they can't help but stop and stare. Rick Vasquez can share his story.
Art is one of the few things that can separate us from our peers, so it's no surprise that people come from all around the world to celebrate it. Located in the heart of Fort Lauderdale, the Las Olas Art Festival has been going strong for 31 years. The festival allows creative individuals to express themselves through their work and present it to others.
This is the 31st year. We've done it 3 times a year, and this is our 91st show on Las Olas Boulevard. This is a perfect venue. Look at the nice shops and restaurants. It's the heart of Fort Lauderdale. It's a beautiful street, and people come from all over to see the show.
Many artists gather at the Las Olas Art Festival to display their work, but one artist in particular puts his life into his art, and it's evident in the final product. Patrick Reynolds consistently shows his pieces at art festivals all around the country, and he never ceases to amaze.
Well, my work is most definitely something that doesn't match the couch or the curtains. My work is all statement pieces, it's storytelling essentially. These aren't necessarily just women, they're figures that tell stories. Each piece has a very specific story of strength or overcoming things that's happened to them during their lives.
In Patrick's work, nothing goes without purpose and everything has a place in the bigger picture, literally. Although he always has a plan, some mistakes can turn into the best pieces.
And I was doing a big exhibition, and I had about 50 people around watching me finish off this big piece of art that I had been working on for about 2 weeks. And I had them all watching me finish it off, and we had a huge cup of coffee there on the end. And I had all my graphite tools around me, and I reached over to go sign my piece and knocked the entire thing of big gulp of coffee over my entire piece of work, where I panicked. My heart jumped. I grabbed the art, and it was on thick paper, and I lifted it off the table and I flung the coffee off, and I'm doing this, and everybody's watching and started applauding because I got coffee all over them, and they thought it was part of the show. They thought it was the best finish they'd ever seen.
With such dedication, Patrick has moved many people with his body of work, and he aims to make more unique pieces that will continue to make him one in a million. This has been Rick Vasquez for Bobcat Broadcast.
With everything we put into our bodies, it's no wonder why there are so many diseases flying around nowadays. All the chemicals in our processed food really takes a toll in the long haul. Let's watch a PSA about the difference good food can make.
On Valentine's Day of 2018, one of the deadliest school shootings ever happened less than an hour away from us. Change has happened in our community, but have we done all we can do in schools? Kylie Bolanos shed some light on the topic.
Filled with an abundance of roses, chocolate, and love flying through the air, Valentine's Day is supposed to be a day full of love and embracing the people closest to us. But on this day in 2018, the only thing flying through the air were bullets in Parkland, Florida. The events of this day would lead to the third deadliest school shooting in United States history, following Virginia Tech and Sandy Hook. After the events of this day, the hunger for safer schools has never been stronger. Parents, students, and teachers alike are desperate for a change. However, everything in the world comes at a price, and schools nearby cannot afford to equip themselves with the newest technologies.
I think it would take a lot of budget to replace the current safety precautions we have. I think that's our number one barrier for sure. I'm part of our safety team committee that we have here, and everything that we've tried to suggest beyond what we're doing right now, most of the time when we're told we can't do something, it's a budget thing. It's, that costs $30,000. This costs this much money. It's like beyond our hands.
Many people have let out cries for help, begging for schools to become safer. Policies that have always been in code of conduct started to become more enforced after Valentine's Day. But some are skeptical and do not believe these regulations are doing much, if anything at all.
The new policies are we have to wear IDs when we get into school, and we all have one entrance in the mornings when before we had like 3 or 4.
In the hallways, it seems that most of them just put their their IDs in their backpacks and walking around. I don't see them.
I was never a believer in the whole wearing an IDs thing because I knew from the very beginning that's all it was. It was all just a false sense of security. It was all just something that the school board did to be like, oh, this is what we're doing now because now that all this has happened, we need to do something. I feel like it was just like a people pleaser.
When things are calm, it is human nature to become complacent. Once complacency settles into schools, no one minds the safety precautions like wearing an identification badge or coming through a single point of entry as seriously as when first enforced. The schools are trying to find ways to get all students to abide by the policies. But with defiance being a common factor, this could be more difficult than expected.
So we need to think of ways, and the school is trying to think of ways of how can we make it an incentive for the students to wear the IDs, that it's not a punishment if you don't have it, but you can't get into the media center without it. Or maybe you need, in order to buy a prom ticket, you need to show your ID. To get into prom, have your ID.
I just believe, unfortunately, both at this age and in the sort of society we're in, if you don't offer people something for doing something or don't force them to do it, they're not going to do it.
There is always a talk about how students are the #1 priority. This statement could not be true because the step to extreme safety in schools has not been implemented, and it all comes down to the money being spent in the wrong areas.
They passed state laws that are supposed to make this safety a rule now. Of course, they didn't give us a budget to make those laws take effect. They just passed laws that said we had to do it. We're trying to do the best we can within the budget we're given. I think there's a lot more that can be done if the state and the county would give us the money to do it. I'm sad to say that a lot comes down to money, but unfortunately it does.
They haven't put bulletproof windows in the doors because of budget, but they remodeled the gym and they gave us new bleachers for the football field when we don't even have football games. I think they should take our safety into way more consideration, given the fact that the school system preaches how the youth is the future. If we're the future, shouldn't you care a little more about us?
In today's society, it seems like everyone always needs something to keep them going. We can never go throughout our day by ourselves, and we rely on other things that end up taking a toll on us in the long run. Kayla Baker can pour out the facts.
Coffee is basically poison in a cup. Caffeine is horrible for you. But shops like Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts are more popular than ever. They continue to give people all the coffee they want, and everyone just takes it. Why? Some of the problems people face every day are yellow teeth, accelerated heart rate, and not growing. This solution to this is not coffee. If anything, it would just make everything worse. But don't take it from me. Take it from your toothpaste. According to Colgate.com, teeth naturally have these little holes in them. When people drink dark-colored things like coffee, the color becomes embedded in the ridges. This can permanently stain teeth and make them yellow. Yuck. I might be the only one, but I prefer my heart to be at a steady rate, not having it feel like it's about to jump out of my chest. HealthyEating.com explains how heart palpitations are the effect of stimulants. America's favorite drink is in fact a stimulant. That one little cup of coffee, it can contain 100 to 200 milligrams of caffeine. Imagine how much a coffee addict intakes a day. I don't even want to imagine a week or a year. That's a scary number. Can't you all see it? Caffeine is ruining us from the inside out, but we still continue to buy it, drink it, and love it for some weird reason. I think there are other ways to get energy. But again, maybe that's just me. I'm Kayla Baker, reporting.
It seems like it's about time to take a commercial break.
Stay tuned, because we have more great stories coming.
We'll be right back.
Stop. I want you to imagine if everyone just cared. Look at this very dirt you stand on. It's slowly crumbling beneath us, brick by brick, leaf by leaf. Yet everyone's facing the other direction, looking up at their dreams, their futures. Their futures that won't exist if we keep treating the earth like this. So what do? Go green.
Located in the heart of Miami, the Wynwood Walls is a cultural staple of South Florida. It's the focal point of so much creativity and allows young aspiring artists to put their work on display for the whole world to see. This amazing icon will without a doubt forever be one of the best sights that Florida has to offer. Michael Rodriguez can help paint the picture.
Wynwood, a neighborhood in Miami, Florida that is known for its exotic arts and beautiful graffiti. Most of the attention Wynwood gets is from its development into a center for art and interesting restaurants, bars, and breweries. While Wynwood nears its 100th year, it is time to share its story of beautiful murals, diverse demographics, and modern-day gentrification. In order to understand the character behind this beautiful district, we have to look back and see what problems it and its people faced in order to create the Wynwood we know today. Wynwood sits upon what was subdivided farmland and was eventually sold by two Miamians by the name of Josiah Chale and Hugh Anderson. With the help of real estate agent E.A. Waddell, they were able to sell lots as early as 1896, over 20 years before the official establishment of the neighborhood. From the moment Wynwood was created, it was synonymous with working class families. Along with a boom of residents in the district came a boom of factories and work opportunities. Companies like Coca-Cola and the American Bakeries Company set up shop within the district, giving the working class families work to do. It was in the 1920s when fashion began to seep into the culture of Wynwood. This culture grew exponentially when Cuban immigrants began to provide labor for the garment and fashion industry. Immigrants from all over the world began to settle in Wynwood in the hopes of improving their economic status to then leave the neighborhood. Haitians, Dominicans, Colombians, and more found homes in the district. However, some of these migrants struggled to build their status, while others used the city as a drug trafficking scene. Dottie Quintana, the unofficial mayor of Wynwood from the 1950s to the 1980s, spent her life helping the sick, elderly, and poor and tracking down drug dealers single-handedly. Dottie not only improved the community itself, but set the tone for what the community would strive to be. By the 1980s, companies began to leave the neighborhood. The warehouses these companies operated out of would be left without a tenant and abandoned for years. That was the case until 1985, when a splinter group from the South Florida Art Center discovered and bought one of these buildings. The warehouse was turned into Florida's largest working artist space. The building still stands to this day under its original name, the Bakehouse. Jump ahead to 2006 to when Goldman Properties, led by Tony Goldman himself, began to buy up properties in Wynwood. Tony Goldman was a driving force behind the revival of cities like Soho and South Beach. He began to think of ways to incorporate art into Wynwood, and what he came up with was the Wynwood Walls, an open-air gallery of murals. Goldman dreamed of murals painted across all buildings in Wynwood, and it is safe to say that his dream has become a reality. The art began to attract the attention of hundreds and then thousands of people to Wynwood, artists and tourists alike. Goldman's vision of a colorfully painted town has become such a uniquely wonderful place, and you can only find that in Wynwood.
I think street art is definitely the the main factor here. It's not only allowed but encouraged, and we have a lot of this, I think, in most big cities, but the fact that there's a whole district for it and it's organized and it's put here for people to enjoy an art that's been sort of talked down on for a long time, I think that's really something new and something that you don't see a lot. There's no apology, there's no explanation. It's here and it's meant to be enjoyed, whether it's a statement or not.
Well, it's such a unique place. It's considered the largest outdoor art museum in the world, and it's always changing because the art is very temporary. Somebody might do a mural for, it might last just like a month or two, and then something completely different will be on that wall. So when people come back after, let's say, a year, it's going to look completely different, mostly. Well, if it wasn't for the street art on the walls, I don't think Wynwood would really exist.
The Wynwood neighborhood has attracted a number of very interesting restaurants, bars, breweries, art galleries, and an assortment of other name brand retailers. It is a neighborhood that is rooted in humble beginnings that evolved into a melting pot community. Many people living in Miami believe that the Wynwood neighborhood has already surpassed many other surrounding neighborhoods in terms of character and charm. If you haven't attended an art walk or visited any of the great establishments in Wynwood, there's never been a better time than now.
Peaceful Ridge is a ranch that specializes in nursing animals back to health, and over the years they have helped many animals get the aid and care that they need. But one horse's recovery is a story for the ages. Daniela Gainza can tell you more.
Located in Davie, Florida, Peaceful Ridge Rescue is a nonprofit organization for neglected and abused horses. Many residents come to volunteer daily, from families to students. Although there are many horses galloping in the sanctuary, a thoroughbred named Logan stood out from the rest of the pack.
Logan, he was practically skin and bones. He was in a very small stall, not able to walk around and move, piled up with hay and manure. They never cleaned it, and they never took care of it, and they just kept throwing food in there thinking, oh, he just needs food. When he first came here, I could put my hands around his neck. He looked like this big brown giraffe. You should never have a horse's neck be that skinny unless it was just born. It's unacceptable. So when I was able to do that, I mean, I was in tears.
No animal, no matter the circumstance, should have to suffer the way Logan did. But where there is darkness, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. The path to Logan's recovery didn't come overnight.
As soon as the dentist came, the equine dentist came, filed his teeth down, he started gaining weight right away. And when he started feeling food actually hit his belly, he was ravenous. He wanted to eat like all the time. It took a solid year. So right now he's healthy enough where we're building up Logan's muscle, so he's starting to look really good.
Although being part of Peaceful Ridge family became an important portion of Logan's life, finding a forever home is his next chapter.
For Logan, I would be ecstatic if he got adopted, where he could be at a nice ranch with open fields. I would love that for him.
In an ideal world, Logan will be adopted in the near future. At the moment, he is happy in his temporary home. This has been Daniela Gainza reporting.
That's all we have for you on this episode of Broward Teen News.
We hope you've enjoyed all of the stories we've gotten to cover this year.
I'm Michael Rodriguez.
And I'm Talia Kaplan. If you want to see more stories like these, make sure you like our Broward Teen News Facebook page.
Have a great day.
Broward Teen News was brought to you by ProSound and Video.